Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, the podcast where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. I'm your host, Preston Proctor. Happy Black Friday, everybody. Yes, I'm doing this a day ahead of time, which is kind of my normal thing when there's games over the weekend. Like to leave my weekends free for family things, and so get a little bit ahead. We are playing Winnipeg at home tomorrow night. Winnipeg is playing tonight on the road. So that's on Carolina. So they are in a back-to-back situation. The Preds are going to be in a back-to-back situation. They are playing Chicago on the road tonight. So Chicago, so the Preds are on the road. And Winnipeg's on the road, but tomorrow the Preds will be home. Winnipeg will still be on the road, coming from Carolina, Raleigh, so not so bad. And so that's so coming with as far as stats go with regards to where Winnipeg is, it could influence their rankings and their positions a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. That's my standpoint. I am changing up the format. I alluded to this last podcast. I getting a little long, spending a little bit too much time on things that I didn't intend to do in this podcast. I got overly enthusiastic after going to training camp and watching a bunch of players, and so some of them are in Milwaukee and a couple are down in Atlanta. But I don't need to take up a lot of room on this one to talk about that. So I think I'm going to just make a singular podcast, maybe about once a month, and talk about the minor league players. Cole O'Hara got a couple of goals the other night. Another one of the guys if you remember my training camp preview, one of the guys I was high on, doing good. Lucchini's doing good. So there's a lot of good play going on down or going on up in Milwaukee, and good play going on down in Atlanta. Not as many players in Atlanta that were at training camp here in Nashville. I think 2 skaters and both goaltenders. So, Anyway, so I'm going to move that around. And then the other thing I'm going to change is getting rid of it. At the end, I talk about goalies, and it's kind of a misstep maybe, given that Connor Hellebuyck is now out for about 4 weeks, and we're playing Winnipeg, and the Winnipeg podcast is when I stopped talking about goaltenders so much. But I think that really, me trying to pick a goaltender, for one, I'm not good at it. But like a Noonan was in goal the other night. Good for him. Yeah, good game. Good game, the Detroit game. Wow. But anyway, so there were things about what I was talking about, the games from last year, how things turned out. So I'm moving that up into the opposition summary. And I'll talk about that early because I do think it's interesting to remember. Last year being kind of an off year, this year's also an off year, but just, I guess the teams change over time, and it's just kind of interesting to reflect back on where they were at with the other team last year. I still think that's relevant until I decide it's not. We'll keep that in. I did do a little bit. Finally got the production staff off their butts to try to figure out why my numbers were slightly different from the NHL when it comes to the number of power plays or penalty kills. And I like the way I'm doing it. And what I figured out is that when there's a 5-on-3 situation, so there's a penalty and one team is 5-on-4, and then they commit another penalty, go 5-on-3. Well, when that first penalty is over, it's back to another 5-on-4 situation. And for me, I look at that and I say, okay, that's 2 opportunities at 5-on-4 and 1 opportunity at 5-on-3. Now, the amount of time you spend at it, kind of irrelevant, but it is relevant. Sorry, but I'm not taking that into consideration when I'm doing my stats, and I could because I am noting the times and such like that. But I would count that as 3 opportunities, and it turns out the NHL just counts that as 2 penalties and moves on. Now, when they go back and they count the number of times that maybe you're 5-on-4 or 5-on-3, I didn't go look to see. Maybe that would be interesting to see if they actually changed how they count it then. But when they're doing their percentages on the number of opportunities, they would count that particular scenario as 2, even though there were 2 penalties. But since they overlap, I think, you've got like I said, you've got a 5-on-3 opportunity and 2 5-on-4 opportunities. And if they didn't overlap, you'd have 2 5-on-4 opportunities. So I think I still like the way I do it. I don't see a reason to worry about that, but at least now I know, and so you know, why my numbers are going to be slightly different from the NHL. And when we'll go from there. But anyway, that's how we got there. And yeah, so get this out of the way. I don't want to ask the AI assistant. I'm not a big AI user. I'll be honest with you. I don't like all these AI. Oh, do you want this AI assistance? No, actually, I don't. Leave me alone. Go do all your learning on somebody else. Anyway, so don't want to spend too much time on that. But what I will spend a little bit of time on is quantum squares. They do have a 25% off Amazon and at quantumsquares.com, and that's particular to Black Friday. But if you want it every day of the year, use Preds Pro. The promo code Preds Pro gives you 25% off every day of the year for energy snacks that are specifically or scientifically, probably specifically too, formulated energy bars to provide long-lasting, stable energy without crashes. Whole food ingredients, 100 milligrams of organic caffeine, and they deliver balanced nutrition, 10 grams of plant-based protein, and they are really convenient. The size is really convenient to carry. Anyway, so I think I got plenty of breaks last time. I just never know. I do a podcast with Prudence, and a lot of times we forget to take breaks. But taking a break. All right. Well, that was fun. Hope you enjoyed the break as much as I did. Okay. So previous game, Detroit. Wow. I had a good feeling. You're going back and looking at breaking things up, and I'm going to continue to do this to where I'm looking at scenario-based stats. We've got enough games under our belt. We can start doing that. I think earlier in the season, it's not relevant. Today, they still don't have enough games that it's significant, but again, enough games and that you can see the differentiation between somebody's on the home, somebody's on the road, and I think that's worthwhile, and it provides a little bit of different insight into the team, and I think that was really interesting with the Preds, and so I'm going to continue moving forward with that. Of course, with Winnipeg, the Preds are home, Winnipeg being on the road. But I did feel pretty good about that Detroit game. I made a comment how I thought it would go to overtime, and of course it didn't. I'll get into this a little bit later, but, they got the first goal in the first period on a power play, then gave up 2 in the second, and then the third period, quite the explosion. So anyway, that was the Detroit game, and major transactions, still really nothing. It's getting near the end of November, and November has 30 days, right? So 30 days would be Sunday. It means Monday will be the 1st of December. So Monday I will do my first playoff analysis. Did it a couple of ways last year, and we'll see how that goes. Anyhow, so what have we got? We have Winnipeg coming to town. Here comes the Jets. They are 6th in the Central Division with 24 points. They're 12, 10, and 0. They are playing tonight, but currently they have the same record at home and on the road. They are 6-5. 6-5 at home, 6-5 on the road. Their road record will change tonight one way or another. Playing Carolina. They are one of two teams that have 0 overtime losses. 0 overtime losses. And so Saturday's game will be the third game of 5 for them on the road. They are currently 0-1, having lost to Washington on Wednesday 3-4. And so they play Carolina tonight, then Monday play Buffalo, Wednesday Montreal. It is the back end of their back-to-back. It is only their second back-to-back of the year, the last one was at home. They played their 7th and 8th games, and so this is their 23rd and 24th. So they're taking a leisure. Their back-to-backs are coming in nice and leisurely. But they lost to Seattle and then beat Calgary. So they lost the first one and won the second. Hellebuck in goal against Seattle and Comrie against Calgary, and of course Hellebuck's out. So they've called up this guy, and I guess I'll get to that here in a minute. As far as the transactions that they made, but we will not see Hellebuck here in Nashville one way or another. And so as far as the series goes, this is the second of 3. The next game will be March 17th in Winnipeg, only playing 3 games against Winnipeg this year. Last year they played 4, and the home team won them all. So Winnipeg 2-2 against Nashville last year. This year they won 4-1 in Winnipeg with Hellebuck in goal. It was the 4th game of a 5-game winning streak for them. And beginning of the year, they did lose their first game and then won 5, and this was the 4th of 5. Last year, Comrie and Hellebuck split the games. Comrie played the 2 in Nashville, the 1st and 4th, so he lost both of those. In the first game, they did win games on either side, but after winning the game after this loss, they lost 4 straight. And then the 4th game was the beginning of a 3-game losing streak. Hellebuck played the 2nd and 3rd game, so he was 2-0, winning 3-0 and 5-2 in Winnipeg. The 2nd game was the last game of a 4-game winning streak. And the 3rd game, the 2nd and 3rd game, there were 3 games between the two. And so they won both games against Nashville, but lost the 3 games between them. And then lost the game after playing Nashville too. So not a good stretch for them, but conveniently they played us twice, and that was kind of like the bright spot of that sequence. Personnel issues, injured. We've got number 4 defenseman Neil Pionk. I'm probably saying that wrong. Not expected back till the 28th, which is today. So maybe he is, maybe he's not. Number 24 defenseman Hayden Fleury, not expected back till December 1st. And number 37 goaltender Connor Hellebuck, not expected back till January 3rd. So as far as transactions goes, on the 25th, they recalled number 57 defenseman Elias Salmonson from the Manitoba Moose. So he called up a defenseman on the 25th. Now, Hellebuck injured on the 24th, or went on the 24th. On the 21st is when they called up. The 21st, they called up number 32, goaltender Thomas Milach, probably, from the Manitoba Moose. He was 5-2-2 with a 2.14 goals against average. Manitoba is in the same division as Milwaukee. I think they're both tied for second, but I think he was the starting goaltender. And so, correspondingly, they're a little confusing because the Norfolk Admirals, not the Milwaukee Admirals, but the Norfolk Admirals are their ECHL team. And so it was talking about how, this Millich played for the Admirals. And so I'm looking back going, gosh, did he play for Milwaukee? Nope, Norfolk. Norfolk Admirals. So don't know how much playing time he's going to get. I guess we'll see. We'll see. For the Nashville Predators, they're 8th in the Central with 18 points, 7-12-4 at home, 5-7-2. They are 3 points down, playing one game less than St. Louis, and then 6 points down, having played one more game than Winnipeg. And as far as the race to the bottom, they are 1 point behind Calgary, but they played 2 less games than Calgary. Speaking of Calgary, Calgary comes on Tuesday to finish off this 2-game homestand. Then the Preds go 2 on the road, Thursday and Friday, and Saturday at Carolina. This year, the loss on October 18th to Winnipeg, Saros was in goal. It was the third of a 4-game losing streak, and it was the last game of the Canada road trip. Last year against Winnipeg, Saros was in goal for all 4. Personnel changes. Cole Smith and Zachary Leroux are still out. Still no change in date on when they're coming back. Leroux, December 9th. Smith, December 15th. I would bet Leroux goes back to Milwaukee when he comes off. They called him up, and then off he went on injured reserve. So, yeah. For the Preds, overall 7-12-4 at home, 5-7-2. The last game, against Detroit, the Preds won the first, lost the second, won the third, and did get the first goal. So, yeah, once again, the first goal, Preds get it, good chance of winning. They won 2 periods. Destroyed the third period, but won the first, lost the second. So we got another thing. Not sure if that's happened yet, but we'll get to that later. The interesting thing, Detroit, again, went back and looked at their information, and the second period is the period where they have gotten most of their goals. So they got 2 in the second period. That's highly reflective of what they've done already. And fairly even across goals against the 3 periods, but that changed after the game the other night. Nashville doubled its number of goals that they got in the first because they'd only gotten 1 on the road so far. And the second period is their lowest goals against, but it was the highest in this game. So a little bit different. Both penalty kills were low percentages, and so the fact that there were power play goals is no shock. But their Preds power play was 11.5%, so that's the only real shocker there was that with a power play that low, they actually were able to score. But Detroit's penalty kill, not that great. Detroit did have a 20% coming into the game, overall 20% on the power play, and got 2 of 5. So, Looking at the overall stats, so let's start off with the first goal. Now the Preds are 5-2-2 when they get it. When they do not, 2-10-2. So I'd still really say when the Preds get it, it's a coin flip. When they don't get it, boy, that does not look good. They are at home. At home, they are 3-2-1 when they get it. Again, coin flip. And 2-5-1 when they don't. So kind of a 3-1 likelihood at this point, given the small data set that we've got, that when they don't get it, they're going to lose. And so that's not encouraging. Looking at first period, second period, twice. The first goal has happened in the second period here in Nashville. Once for both teams, and the team that got it won. So not a lot of data points there, but whenever the first goal happens in Nashville in the second period, you get the first goal, call the game. And otherwise, at home, 2-2-1 in the first, and when they don't get it, 1-5-1 in the first. So, yeah, pretty strong indicator of right now that when they don't get the first goal, things don't look good. Yeah, the only there's twice the Preds haven't gotten the first goal and have won the game, and both of those were at home. So that's what we're talking about. Talking about home stuff again. Yeah, and splitting it up and then taking a look at things. I got a little bit more perspective on the numbers later too. Winning by period, the Preds, they won the first the other night. So they're 4-8-11 right now. So kind of a coin flip between tying and something else. The second period, 4-10-9. So, most likely whatever's going to happen, they're not going to win. Kind of a coin flip on whether tying or losing. As I've said, it's hard for me to pull for a tie in the first and second, but that still remains their best scenario. The third, they are 8-14-1, which is not exemplary. Taking a look at things on the home standpoint, the first period, they're 3-3-8. So, heavily weighted towards tying the first period. I guess here, the stats I don't normally talk about. When they get the first goal, they're 3-0-3 in the first period. So if they get the first goal, they have not lost the first period here at home. That's an interesting stat. When they don't get the first goal, it's kind of a coin flip, 0-3-5. When they get the first goal and it's in the first period, they're 3-0-2. So one of those times they got the first goal, but it was in the second period. They tied the first period. I guess that's no surprise. When the first goal happens in the second period, the first period has to be a tie. And when they don't get the first goal and it's not in the period, again, that happened once, 0-3-4. Second period here in Nashville, 2-7-5, so a coin flip between losing and something else. That something else primarily being a tie. And then the home, 4-9-1 in the third period. So basically a 2-1 that they're going to lose the third period. Not great stats, but that's what they are. How does that correlate? Let's take a look, because that's the important thing is, they win, lose, whatever, but how does that particular performance? Well, they won the first period the other night. They won the game. So now overall, they're 2-2 when they win the first period, 0-8 when they lose it, and 5-6 when they tie it. Yuck. At home, 1-2 when they win it, 0-3 when they lose it, and 4-4 when they tie. Second period, similar. 1-3 when they win it, 2-8 when they lose it. Hey, at least there's a couple of wins in there. They could lose the second period and win the game. And when they tie the second period, they're 4-5. So kind of a coin flip. Here in Nashville, winning the second period has not resulted in a win. They're 0-2 in the two games that they've won the second period. 1-6 when they lose it, and 4-1 when they tie it. So again, tying the second period, tied second period. You got to pull for it. Oh, my gosh. A third period, winning record for the Preds, 5-3. We'll get to the empty nets in a minute, and then it'll change. But 5-3 winning the third period, losing the third period 1-13, tying the third period 1-0. Only tied the third period overall once this season. I think that's kind of amazing. If you take out the empty nets, the Preds are split 4-4 when they win the third period. When they lose the third period, 1-8. And then when taking out the empty nets, they've tied the third period 6 times, and they're 2-4. So that's that. As far as the combinatorics of the first and second, 5 times. The most thing that has happened this season is to lose the first and to tie the second. That has happened the most 5 times, and that's a losing record, 0-4-1. So we're not pulling for that. The particular scenario that has happened the most is tying the first. That's happened 11 times. If they tie the first and win the second, that's still not good. That's happened 4 times, 1, 1, and 2. Tie the first, win the second, and you still don't win the game. We'll get into the difference in goal scoring later. But if they tie the first and lose the second, losing the second is the other thing that seems to happen quite a bit. That's happened 10 times. 10 times, but 4 of those they tied the first, and they're 1, 2, and 1. When they tie the first and lose the second, that one makes a little bit more sense to me. And when they tie the first and tie the second, they're 3 and 0. So that happened 3 times. The other things, the other scenarios that has happened more than once are the losing the second period. They've lost the first, lost the second 3 times and 0, 3 and 0, winning the first, losing the second, 1, 2 and 0. So a losing record when they win the first and lose the second, a losing record when they tie the first and win the second. So that's overall. That is overall. Unfortunately, when we get to the combinatorics here at home, it's similar. Tying the first has happened the most time. That's 8 times. And then losing the second has happened 7 times. All of the times that they've tied the first and tied the second have been here at home. So that they're 3, 0, and 0 in those scenarios. If they tie the first and lose the second, they're 1, 1, and 1. So really a coin flip, kind of. Tie the first, win the second, 0, 1, and 1. I mean, that's just bizarre. You tie the first, win the second, and you don't win the game. And then, so the other things that have happened more than once are the losing the second period. So you lose the first, lose the second. Well, guess what? You lose 2 periods in the NHL, and you're most likely going to lose the game, about a 99 percentile. That made that number up. Last year, it happened 3 times for the Preds that they won 2 periods and still lost the game. But that's because they lost 2 periods as well. The previous year, it only happened twice. They lost 2 periods twice and won the game, but in those scenarios, they won 2 periods. And so basically, you mean it goes to overtime. But here at home, if it's the same record, so if they win or lose the first and then lose the second, it's happened twice in both those scenarios in 0, 2, and 0. So, losing the second, not a good record. Here at home, 1, 5, and 1. So that's your result correlations. Now we start moving into the goal discussion. And let's see, the winning goal the other night was in the third period. Preds got 1 in the first. Detroit got 2 in the second. And so, so Detroit got 1 in the third. So the fourth goal for the Preds was the winning goal, so it did happen in the third period. We are now at a pretty strong 35% of the winning goal being scored in the third period overall. When it comes down to home, 36% the winning goal being scored in the third period. Now, it's out of 14 data points. The other night, the road team did win, so that's now happened 11 times. 12 times the home team has won. When the home team wins, fairly evenly spread. It's happened, like I said, the home team has won 12 times, got the winning goal 3 times in the first, third, and overtime, twice in the second, and once in a shootout. The road team, when the road team wins, very strongly 45% in the third period. So the road team getting the winning goal right now, most likely to happen in the third. That's happened 5 times and only twice for 3 other scenarios, first, second, and overtime. As far as goal scoring for the Preds, well, that's given the third period scoring the other night, it's got to look a lot better now, right? Not so much. Not so much. Let's just focus on the home scenario. And right now at home, the Preds are outscoring their opponents 13-12 in the first. They are being outscored 9-16 in the second, and they're being outscored 11-19 in the third. So basically at home, the Preds are being outscored 3.5 goals to 2.5 on average. An interesting thing, when the Preds win the game, they're being outscored in the second period 3-4. So, the Preds have won 5 games here at home, and they've been outscored in the third period. They are outscoring in the first and third, 5-2, 5-3. I think when we take a look at the empty net goals, I think some of that's going to go away. But, so that's how things are going here at home. Again, taking a look at the scenarios. Preds entering the second period or third period, winning, tied, or losing. Let's just focus on the home scenario here. So the Preds have entered the second period and the third period, winning 3 times in both those scenarios, and they're being outscored in the second and the third, 1-4 in the second, 2-6 in the third, and that looks even worse because the Preds have an empty net goal. So they are being outscored 1-6 in the third period when they come into the period winning, and when they come into the second period winning, they're being outscored 1-4. And again, that's happened 3 times for both of those scenarios. When they come into the second period tied, that's happened 8 times, the most of any scenario. They're being outscored 8-10. 8-10 in the second period when they come in tied, so at least that's close. In the third period, it's happened 4 times. Coming into the third period tied, they have outscored their opponents 3-2 in those 4 games. When they come into the second period losing, it's only happened 3 times, so that's the smallest number, 3 times, just like it was similar, the same number as winning both periods. But they come into the second period losing, they've been outscored 0-2. That's in 3 games. I mean, I guess, and less than an average of 1 per game. So coming to the second period losing, and they don't give up that many goals, but. Anyway, so the second most frequent scenario is coming into the third period losing. 7 times that has happened. They're being outscored 6-11, but there are 4 empty net goals in there, so it really becomes 6-7. This is still not really where you'd like to see it, but that is the goal scoring and all the different permutations and combinations and stuff. Taking a look at the matchups. Now, this is where we get into a lot more of the home and road stuff when we start comparing them. I was doing overall before, and I really like this because, as I said, I think it really, especially the Colorado game, because, Colorado, the best team in the league, highest points, whatever, got 1 goal. And when we looked at their road stats, it became a lot more obvious that was possible. It didn't. Looking at overall, it did not. So I've switched over. Now the problem is there is a big differential between the number of games people have played. Say for instance, the Preds are at home, and home games range from 9 to 15. That's pretty decent delta. And the Preds have played 14. So there are 5 teams that have played 14 games and won at 15. So the Preds are in the upper part of the league in the number of home games that they have played. Road games range from 8 to 16, which is still really wildly different. And Winnipeg has played 11, so they're right there smack dab in the middle. So where that really kind of influences is where they rank in the league, and when it comes to just numbers. Percentages, I don't have a problem with, but but let's go into the goals for, goals against. The Preds playing 14 games. They've scored 34 goals at home, which is 19th in the league. Now, they're 19th in the league in scoring overall, but they've played more games than all but there's 32 teams. So 26 teams have played less games than them, and they're 19th in the league. So that's where, start taking a look at the average, right? So we'll get to the average goals per game here in a minute. Goals for, Winnipeg has, on the road, have played 3 less games than Nashville, but the goals for, they're fairly equal. Winnipeg has scored 32. The Preds have scored 34. In the first period, Preds have scored 13. Winnipeg has scored 11. In the second, Winnipeg has scored 10. Nashville 9. Here it went, and then again. So Winnipeg was fairly even: 11, 10, and 10. Nashville 13, 9, and 11. The interesting thing there is the highest numbers in the first period, and the NHL. Typically, goal scoring goes up. I haven't done the goal scoring analysis for the season. The last time I did it, the middle of February. What month is this? November. Thank you. So 2 weeks ago, there was a 21% increase in goal scoring from the first to the second overall in the NHL. And so the fact that the Preds go down from the first to the second, and then still stay below that for the third, at least they pop back up, because goal scoring from the second to the third increases 9%. But Winnipeg doesn't hold to that model either. They got 11 in the first, 10 in the second, 10 in the third. So that doesn't. Neither team seems to be exhibiting the overall characteristics of the NHL and with the goals for. Now, looking at goals against, the Preds decided to stick with that model, which is great. They are third in the league in being scored on. Now, again, remember, they have played more games than all, except 6 teams, except 5 other teams. So there's 26 teams that have played less than them. So the fact that they're third in the league and being scored against doesn't really can be mitigated a little bit by that. And what I don't have is average goals against, and that would be handy. Oh, that would be a nice little addition. We'll work on that. Get the production staff on that. The Winnipeg 11 games on the road, right somewhere in the middle of the league. They have had 32 goals scored against them, which is 23rd. So that's pretty good for them. They go 9, 11, and 12. So not a lot of increase over time, and so their percentage in the league goes down because the goal scoring. So they're 23rd in the first, 20th in the second, 19th in the third. I guess that did go up. But anyway, 9, 11, and 12. The Preds 12, 16, and 19. So that's, those numbers in and of themselves don't look great. If we take a look at the goals per game, what we see is that Winnipeg is pretty much on pace for 1 goal a game in the first. We'll talk about goals for. The Preds are close, 0.93. In the second, Winnipeg 0.91 to the Preds 0.64. And then the third period, the same for Winnipeg 0.91 and the Preds 0.79. So the Winnipeg is right around, 2.91 overall goals per game. The Pred 2.43. When we get to goals against, Winnipeg 2.91, so just under 3. And so that's, in the first period 0.82, the second period 1 goal even, and the third 1.09. The Preds 0.86 in the first. So even though they're 9th in the league with 12, I mean they played more games than 26 teams, so 0.86, so not even a goal a game. So that's got to be good. In fact, we really need to get the NHL average on that. I think would be really handy here. And take a quick note: NHL average. All right, I hate to take notes in the middle of the podcast, but I think that would be good. And sometimes I forget. Like I said, this is all extemporaneous. I've got my script, which tells me where to go and what to talk about and gives me certain numbers so I don't have to look them up. But everything else is just right off the top of my head, which is good to eliminating some of this other stuff because it was causing me to have to look things up at the time. And I think, I think when I go back and listen to those podcasts, I'm like, boy, this, not only did my voice kind of go low and I'm like, I'm thinking, and my voice is just, and my mouth is just moving to take up airtime while I'm, trying to find what I'm looking for. And so I think this is just better in general. Anyway, so that's goals for, and then, like I said, goals against, also 3.5, 2.91. So yeah, the Preds, I think are, the first period especially good, even though ninth in the league. I would say they're still probably one of the better teams in the league as far as average goals against in the first period. Again, like I said, I've got to do the math to get that there. Oh, and that's goals. Oh, right. Okay, so now we move into special teams. Let's see, make sure I copied this down right. 9-15, yep, 8 to, I didn't change that, 8 to 16. So this 8 to 16 there. So yeah, home games range from 9 to 15, road games range 8 to 16. Winnipeg has played 11, Nashville 14th. Now these are percentages. So actually, penalty kill, power play. The Preds have had a lot more a lot more games than most teams. So, I think their percentages and whatnot, if they're good, would be still emblematic of where they're at. Well, that being said, let's look at the penalty kill. So Winnipeg, right smack dab, 11 games, road games 8 to 16. They're 12th in the league on the penalty kill, which is not bad. 82.9%, 12th in the league on the road. 7 goals against on 41 opportunities. No shorthanded goals. Their net ranking is 18th, so 82.9%. They have had the 12th most opportunities on the penalty kill, but 21st in goals. So that's the ratio that you'd prefer. So a lot more opportunities. Their ranking in the league on opportunities is a lot higher than where they are with goals. So that's good. And ergo, they are 12th in the league. Nashville at home is first in the league on the penalty kill. 90.9%, 4 goals against on 44 opportunities. Then they have scored a shorthanded goal. So even though they're first in the league in percentage and they've scored a shorthanded goal, they fall to second net, 93.2%. Their opportunities this is where the ranking in the league kind of gets a little funky too, I think, because they have played more games than 26 others, but they're second in the league in opportunities, which I still think is just too high, and 30th in the league in being scored against. So even though 26 teams have played less games than the Preds on the penalty kill, there's only 2 teams that have given up less goals. I mean, hats off. I mean, that's just fantastic. And if you want to compare the fact that they are second in the league in opportunities on the penalty kill, you want to call them opportunities, that spells really good. On the power play, both teams are pretty good. Winnipeg ranked 7th on the road, Nashville 11th at home. Winnipeg is 25.8%. 25.8%, so 1 out of 4, right? 8 goals on 31 opportunities. They have not given up a shorthanded goal. Ergo, their net rank is 3rd in the league. They have had the 22nd most opportunities and yet 11th in the league in scoring. So, and that is middle of the road as far as road games. So there are a number of teams that have had more games under their belt, and yet they are 11th in the league in scoring goals on the power play. So, kind of interesting. The Nashville having you could argue the best penalty kill and Winnipeg having one of the best power plays, I still don't want to see that scenario. Nashville, 11th at home, 19%, 8 on 42. So they've got the same number of goals for, but 11 more opportunities. Their net ranking, they fall to 15th. They have not given up a shorthanded goal. So how do they fall to 15th? That doesn't make any sense, but there you go. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so their opportunities to goals is fairly close. They're 11th in the league in opportunities, and that's given the fact that they've played more games than 26. So I think, 11th. So 26 other teams have played less games, and yet on the power play, Nashville is 11th in number of opportunities. There you go. And 13th in goal scoring. So, I mean, the ratios, the ranking in the league, if you're just looking at the league and going, are they keeping up or whatnot, I'd have to say that, 11th in the league in opportunities and 13th in goals. I mean, you'd like to see it something more like Winnipeg, where you're higher ranked than in goals on than opportunities, but I think being close is, I think it's a fine stat. I would like to see the power play better. It definitely was lagging earlier in the year, and I think that's a lot of reason why they have as bad a record. If the power play had just been, just one goal. So many of the games that they played in were like 1-goal games, and they had opportunities on the power play and didn't convert. People to watch. Oh, with Winnipeg, it was easy, and then it got hard. Easy. Here, let's start with the easy part. Number 55 center Mark Scheifele. First in goals, second in points, second in shots, but third on the team in shooting percentage, 25%. He's shooting 25% on the road. So 28 shots, 7 goals. So number 55. Velarde's second on the team goals with 4, but has no other stats. We can effectively skip past him. Number 81 left wing Kyle Connor, first in assists, first in points, 5th in time on ice. So he's the forward that's on the ice the most, and he's first in shots with 33. Defenseman Josh Morrissey, second in assists, so second in points. Neil Pionk, who's injured, has the most ice time. Not really focused on those two players, three players, 81 Kyle Connor and 55 Mark Scheifele. I think the things there. But what like I said, Scheifele's third on the team. Okay, so how did he get to be third? Well, first on the team is a guy that's with 6 shots and two goals. And I thought, well, that's no big deal. Let's just throw that out. He's 33%. Oh, but wait. Now, overall, his shooting percentage is like 16% or something like that. So it's not exemplary. But he's only played 5 games, and it's because he's been injured. He's played 16 games total. So I think there's like 6 games he's missed, and most have all been at home. They're on the road. Anyway. Yeah, so I had to have gotten that right. Right? I am sure that those are right. But let me just real quick take about the stats here. The stats and away. I think that's just an editing issue. Shooting percentage away. And yeah, okay. So that is just 5 games on the road. Yeah, okay. So he was activated from injured reserve on the 17th. He's had 2 shots. He hasn't scored any goals, 33%. That's just the fact that he hasn't played a lot of games kind of worried me that he had that high of a shooting percentage on the road. So he's first. So maybe Barron, number 36, Morgan Barron, center Morgan Barron. So maybe worry about him, maybe not. Second on the team, number 70 left wing Tanner Pearson, 10 shots. He's third on the team with 3 goals on the road. So he's third in goals. I mean, first is 7 and second is 4. So 10 shots. Tanner Pearson, 30% shooting percentage. Tanner Pearson, part of the 70s line back with the Kings when they won their 2 Stanley Cups. And then number 63, right wing Nino Niederreiter, also 3 goals, third on the team, 15 shots. So he's fourth on the team in shooting percentage at 20%. So, yeah, Barron, maybe not. I mean, this is where, I thought it was just pretty buttoned up with Connor and Scheifele, but then it's like, well, shoot. Niederreiter, Pearson, and Bannon's shooting percentages are over 20%, which is, where I just start to pay attention. And, so that made me a little nervous, just to be honest. I think Pearson's lost a step. He's had some trouble since he left Los Angeles. I think he played for Vancouver of all places, or to go to San Jose. I forget. I usually try to follow. But yeah, here he is at Winnipeg, and he had a wicked shot back then. For Nashville, at home, notice the road stats were just completely different from what, Wood and Holla and Bunting, and who's this Forsberg guy? His stats aren't even worth talking about, Who we're still not talking about in any of the stats is Stamkos and Marcia Show. And you know who you are. But anyway, here we are. Yeah, back at home, things look similar to what we've been talking about all year in the overall standpoint. Forsberg leads the team in goals and points, 9 and 14, first in shots with 49. Ryan O'Reilly, second on the team in goals with 5. He's second on the team in points with 10. He is the forward on the ice the most. He's sixth with 1943. And then as far as assists go, we got 2 guys with 6. That's Evangelista and Stastny. Number 77, right wing Luke Evangelista, and number 24, defenseman Spencer Stastny, both with 6. Now, the interesting thing about Evangelista is he has now gotten to be second on the team in shooting. That was one of the comments that the announcers said, that they had been talking to, the coaches have been talking about Evangelista about shooting more. And so now, at home, he's second on the team in shots with 34. So it looks like that has gone. Brady Skay does have the most ice time at home, 2303. And Blankenberg has the highest shooting percentage. Now it's in that, well, do I really pay attention to this? 10 shots, 2 goals, 20%. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to pay attention to that or not. But number 37, defenseman Nick Blankenberg. All right, let's get to momentum. On the road, Winnipeg is 6-5-0. They do have a 3-game losing streak. They play Carolina tonight. They are 1-0 on this road trip, and their last road trip they were 2-4. So not having the best momentum right now. Nashville at home, they did win. I missed the. Home, I forgot to copy down the, was it 5-7-2? 5-7-2? Let's go with that. Nashville, 5-7-2. Nashville is 5-7-2 at home. They did win on Wednesday, which it was a road game. They're playing Chicago tonight, which is another road game. Their last homestand, they were 0-2. So neither of those particular scenarios looking very good. Winnipeg has lost their main goaltender, so it'd be interesting to see how they recover. Hellebuck has won the Vezina Trophy the last 2 years, so that's a loss. Comrie's a good goaltender. I think No, last year he was in goal twice, but the goals in Nashville, so he lost both of those to Nashville. So anyway, that's where they're at. Yeah, so Winnipeg coming to town on Saturday night. Saturday at 6:00, I think. Right? It's a little bit. It's not. It's Saturday, so Saturday gets some weird start times. Yeah, Saturday here in Nashville, 6:00. 6:00 start. So if you got tickets to the game, don't show up at 7. It's a 6:00 game. Calgary on Tuesday will be at 7, so that's normal. But Winnipeg on Saturday, 6:00. 6:00, Winnipeg Jets coming to Nashville. Both teams really needing a win. They really need to start putting a few more wins. So a lot of consternation. I think, I don't know, good news, bad news. Winnipeg will be without their main goaltender, but I think the announcers are saying that what happened, one of the games recently, what was it? The Preds won. They beat Pittsburgh, and then in the first game, and then the second game, they kind of lose focus. So they kind of win a game, and then they take the next one off. And definitely, they need to get some focus and bear down, and as a team, find a way to win. I'm glad to see they shook up the lines the other night. I think it paid off, yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I am Preston Proctor, and you've been listening to Predators Proclivity.